Have you ever imagined waking up one day to discover that your neighbor, the one who always brags about being the biggest and the best, has suddenly decided your house is now part of their backyard? Absurd, right? Yet that's exactly how many Canadians feel when they hear certain statements coming from the South, especially those that seem to disregard Canada's sovereignty and identity. The idea that Canada belongs or could one day belong to someone, especially a foreign political leader, is not only offensive but also deeply tied to a long and complex history between the two countries. Canada, with its vast landscapes, vibrant cities, and rich, multifaceted culture, is far more than just a piece of land on a map. It's a nation built on principles of peace, diversity, and mutual respect. Its citizens value independence and autonomy, and any suggestion that their country could be annexed or controlled by another is met with strong resistance. This resistance isn't just political, it's cultural and emotional. After all, part of what defines Canadian identity is its distinction from the United States, despite the strong alliance between the two. The relationship between Canada and the United States is one of the most complex and multifaceted in the world. We share the longest undefended border on the planet, we are crucial trade partners, and our cultural ties run deep. However, this relationship is also shaped by historical tensions, power imbalances, and differing worldviews. The idea that Canada could be conquered or assimilated by the U.S. overlooks the legacy of struggle and resilience that shaped the Canadian nation, from the War of 1812, when Canadians defended their land from American invasion, to modern-day debates on trade and foreign policy. Canada has always fought to maintain its identity and independence. This script is not meant to be a comprehensive political analysis of Canada-U.S. relations. Rather, it aims to explore the deeper meaning behind the statement, "Canada will never be yours, Trump." It seeks to understand why this phrase resonates so strongly with Canadians and what it reveals about national identity, shared history, and the country's future aspirations. Let's dive into the historical roots, cultural values, and political realities that underpin this Declaration of Independence. Let's explore how the concept of Canadian sovereignty is not only defended, but celebrated, and how it continues to shape the nation's future. After all, Canada is a country with a unique history and a promising future, and its identity is not for sale. The story of how Canadian identity was forged is, in many ways, a story of distinction from the giant to the south. Far from being a mere rivalry, this is a continuous process of self-definition, shaped by historical, cultural, and political forces. While the United States prides itself on individualism and entrepreneurial spirit, Canada often emphasizes collectivism, social welfare, and a more moderate approach to public policy. This difference isn't accidental. It reflects fundamental values and worldviews. But this distinction doesn't mean isolation. On the contrary, Canada has emerged as an influential player on the global stage, advocating for peace, human rights, and multilateralism. From its significant contributions to UN peacekeeping missions, to its commitment to the Paris Climate Agreement, to its leadership in global development initiatives, Canada demonstrates a strong sense of global responsibility, and this plays out in everyday life. A Canadian proud of universal health care, a teacher encouraging critical thinking about history and politics, or an artist exploring themes of identity and belonging in their work. Canadian culture is a vibrant mosaic of influences, ranging from ancestral Indigenous traditions to the contributions of immigrants from every corner of the globe. This cultural diversity is a powerful source of strength and resilience, allowing Canada to adapt and thrive in a constantly changing world. Picture, for example, the richness of Canadian cuisine, blending local ingredients with cooking techniques from around the world, or the energy of Canada's music scene, home to artists of countless backgrounds and genres. In this light, the notion that Canada could be absorbed or dominated by another nation ignores the complexity and richness of its identity. It's like trying to fit a round puzzle piece into a square hole. It simply doesn't work. Canadian sovereignty isn't just a political matter. It's a question of national identity, of cultural pride, and of a deep commitment to the values that define the nation. That's why any attempt to undermine that sovereignty is met with instinctive and understandable resistance. It's also crucial to recognize that Canada is not a homogeneous country. Regional, linguistic, and cultural differences run deep and shape the Canadian experience. The province of Quebec, with its distinct francophone culture, is a clear example of the diversity within Canada. Likewise, the maritime provinces, with their seafaring traditions and a strong sense of community, offer a different perspective from the rest of the country. These regional differences don't weaken Canada. They strengthen it, creating a richer and more resilient nation. In contrast, globalization and growing economic interdependence have created new challenges for Canadian sovereignty. The pressure to align trade and regulatory policies with other nations, especially the United States, can threaten Canada's ability to make independent decisions in critical areas like healthcare, environmental protection, and cultural policy. That's why defending Canadian sovereignty requires a delicate balance, fostering international cooperation while safeguarding national interests. When we reflect on this journey, it becomes clear that the question of sovereignty goes far beyond territorial disputes or political influence. It is a rich tapestry, woven with threads of history, culture, and values. Every stitch, every shade, represents a choice, a declaration, a moment of national affirmation. And like any tapestry, its beauty lies not only in the perfection of each thread, but in the uniqueness of the overall design, an image that cannot be replicated. Canada's relationship with the world, and especially with the United States, is like a hall of mirrors. Every reflection reveals a different facet of the Canadian nation, sometimes highlighting closeness and shared interests, sometimes emphasizing independence and uniqueness. The complexity of this relationship lies in the constant need to balance cooperation with self-definition, to navigate stormy waters without losing course. Let us imagine sovereignty as a flickering flame, continually tested by the winds of globalization and external pressure. To keep it burning, we must feed it with the values of democracy, social justice, and respect for diversity. We must shield it with unity and resolve. And above all, we must pass it from generation to generation, so that it is never extinguished. In this context, the phrase, "Canada will never be yours," Trump echoes as a cry for independence, a pledge of loyalty to the principles that shaped this nation. It's not merely a rejection of a specific political figure, but a reaffirmation of Canada's right to chart its own course, to define its own future, and to remain master of its own destiny. And yet, defending sovereignty is no easy task. It requires constant vigilance, an unshakable commitment to democratic values, and a deep understanding of the challenges ahead. It also demands the ability to engage with the world, to build bridges rather than walls, and to seek collaborative solutions to global issues. As we approach the conclusion of this reflection, it becomes clear that the matter of Canadian sovereignty is about far more than borders or political authority. It's about identity. It's about values. And it's about the future. It concerns all Canadians, and it calls upon each of us to take part in building a more just, prosperous, and free country. Let us then prepare for the next chapter in this journey, aware that the path of sovereignty is ongoing, and that it requires courage, resilience, and a deep sense of purpose. As we reach the end of this exploration of Canada's soul, the phrase, "Canada will never be yours, Trump," resonates. Far beyond politics, it becomes a beacon, illuminating the essence of a nation defined by resilience, diversity, and an unwavering belief in a future rooted in peace and justice. It is a vow whispered by the winds that sweep across the northern plains, etched into the stones of the mountains, and sung by the waters of crystal-clear lakes. This is not a denial of the complexity of Canada-U.S. relations, nor a dismissal of the deep ties that bind us. Rather, it is a reminder that true friendship is built on mutual respect, on the ability to celebrate differences, and on the courage to stand by one's own principles. Canada, as a mosaic of cultures and traditions, offers the world a living example of how diversity can be a source of strength and resilience. Canadian sovereignty is not a trophy to be displayed. It is a responsibility to be upheld. It calls for a constant commitment to democracy, social justice, and environmental stewardship. It requires dialogue, openness, and collaborative problem-solving. And, above all, it calls for the courage to defend one's values, even in the face of external pressure. The real work begins now. Defending Canadian sovereignty isn't the job of politicians alone. It's a call to every citizen. It's an invitation to take part in building a country that is more just, more prosperous, and more free. It's a call to cherish cultural diversity, to protect our environment, and to stand up for human rights. It's a call for each Canadian to become a guardian of national identity, a beacon of hope in a world that's constantly evolving. May the words, "Canada will never be yours, Trump," continue to echo as a lasting reminder of the importance of sovereignty, diversity, and resilience. May they inspire Canadians to protect what matters most, to honor their heritage, and to build a better future for generations to come. May they stand as a light to the world, showing that a nation can remain true to its values, even in the face of adversity. The journey continues, and the future of Canada is in the hands of its people.